Are you over 60 and feel like you don't have the same energy you used to? What if I told you that just 60 seconds a day, chewing a simple food could activate a force that was dormant in your body? Today, I'm going to show you a natural, easy, and surprising method that can transform your mood, memory, and well-being. No medication, no gym, and no big expense. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover what thousands of people over 60 are doing to feel truly alive again. If you're new here, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Have you ever wondered why, as the years go by, it seems like your body loses that natural energy, that inner strength that used to come almost effortlessly? The truth is that aging is not just a matter of time or genetics. It is largely the result of micro-choices we make every day, especially what we put in our mouths. Behind joint pain, constant fatigue, memory lapses, and a weakened immune system, there may be something much simpler and more profound than you realize: the absence of certain natural compounds that until recently were abundant in our diet. And what's even more surprising is that many of these compounds can be reactivated or reintroduced through a habit as simple as chewing a specific food for 60 seconds. For decades, the food industry has distanced us from nature's purest and most powerful elements. Preservatives, sugars, ultra-processed foods, and chemical additives have taken the place of roots, seeds, peels, and leaves that carry not only nutrients but biological codes that communicate with our cells. When you start consciously consuming certain natural foods and give them the time they need to be properly chewed, what happens inside your body goes far beyond digestion. You activate ancestral mechanisms, literally, of repair and regeneration. One of these mechanisms is the release of powerful digestive enzymes, which are only fully activated when chewing is prolonged and rhythmic. But there is something even more fascinating. Certain foods, especially those with adaptogenic, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory properties, need to be unlocked by this process of slow chewing. When this happens, bioactive compounds are released more efficiently and can reach areas of the body that would normally be inaccessible with ordinary eating. And that is where the secret lies that many experts in longevity and natural medicine are returning to investigate with enthusiasm. The human body, even after the age of 60, maintains a silent reserve of vitality. It doesn't disappear with age, it just lies dormant. This inner strength, often called vital energy or hidden strength, is directly linked to the functioning of our nervous system, our ability to recover cells, and even the way we interpret the world emotionally. And when we give our body the right stimuli with the right nutrients, it responds. It wakes up. Blood circulates better, the brain clears, muscles regain tone, and energy returns in the morning without that feeling of heaviness or sluggishness. Chewing a specific food for 60 seconds is not just a trick. It is a symbolic and practical way to slow down the chaos of modern life and reteach the body to absorb what it needs, as it did in the past, when everything was simpler, more organic, more natural. Among the foods studied for this ability, some stand out for their almost intelligent properties. These are foods that adapt to the body's needs, balancing what is in excess and reinforcing what is lacking. Turmeric, for example, when combined with black pepper and a little good fat, is an anti-inflammatory powerhouse that acts on the joints and the immune system. Ginger, when chewed fresh, stimulates digestion, circulation, and even helps regulate hormones. But there are also lesser-known ingredients, such as ashwagandha, which acts on chronic stress, or moringa, rich in vegetable protein, iron, calcium, and essential vitamins. The question is not only what you consume, but how you consume it. When you chew mindfully for 60 seconds, you prepare your body to absorb more, awaken neurological receptors, and send positive alert signals to your entire digestive and endocrine systems. This is something that supplements or capsules cannot do in the same way. Chewing is the first step to healing, deep nutrition, and reactivating your life force. It's common to hear older people say they feel dull, disconnected, as if life is passing them by. But what many don't know is that this feeling isn't permanent, nor does it have to be an inevitable part of aging. On the contrary, studies in neuroscience and functional nutrition have shown that the brain and body are highly plastic. They adapt, transform, and renew themselves, even after 60, 70, and even 80 years of age. But this renewal depends on the right triggers. And one of these triggers, which is extremely underestimated, is the act of eating mindfully, slowly, and paying attention to what you are putting into your body. When you chew a powerful food for 60 seconds, you are doing something much more meaningful than it seems. You are reconnecting with your body's wisdom, giving it time to react, strengthen, and function as it should. Imagine that every day, for just 1 minute, you could send a message to your body saying, "I am here. I want to live with more clarity, more energy, more health." That minute, that simple act, can be the beginning of a profound transformation. It's not a magic formula or empty promises. It's science, it's ancestry, it's daily practice. A small gesture, repeated with intention and consistency, that activates internal processes capable of restoring a forgotten part of your own vitality. This is the hidden strength that many thought they had lost, but which has actually always been there, just waiting for the right moment and the right food to awaken. Throughout our lives, we are trained to believe that great results come only from great effort, that in order to change something in our body or mind, we need a complex plan, strict diets, expensive medications, or long hours of exercise. However, there is a forgotten or perhaps ignored wisdom in the very act of eating, an automatic gesture, repeated every day, but almost always neglected in its essence. Chewing. Chewing is, in fact, the first step in healing, transformation, and regeneration. And it's not just about grinding food, it's a biochemical, neurological, and even emotional process that has the power to profoundly change the functioning of the human body. When you chew for 60 seconds with presence and intention, you are doing much more than prolonging a meal. You are activating a complex system that begins in the mouth, passes through the brain, and affects all internal organs. Few people know that the mouth is the only place in the body where mechanical and chemical digestion occur at the same time. Chewing, by physically breaking down food, also stimulates the release of enzymes such as salivary amylase, which begins to break down carbohydrates right there, even before the food reaches the stomach. But that's just the beginning. When chewing is prolonged and conscious, the brain receives a clear signal that the body is preparing to digest. This signal triggers the vagus nerve, a vital bridge between the central nervous system and the internal organs. The vagus nerve tells the stomach to produce the right amount of hydrochloric acid, the liver to start releasing bile, and the pancreas to prepare specific enzymes. It's as if the entire body is synchronized, aligned to transform that food into energy, cell recovery, and mental clarity. This process, however, is sabotaged when we chew quickly, hastily, and without presence. The body understands that there is a threat, that something is out of its natural rhythm, and begins to work overtime. The stomach needs to compensate for the lack of grinding. The intestine suffers from poorly digested particles, and the liver tries to filter waste without adequate preparation. Everything becomes disorganized. In the long term, this translates into poor digestion, gas, silent inflammation, weight gain, chronic fatigue, and even emotional imbalances. Yes, even our emotions are impacted by how we chew. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology have shown that there is a direct relationship between the state of the intestine and the production of neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine. And if digestion begins with chewing, then our emotional well-being also depends in part on how we eat. When you chew slowly for 60 seconds, you activate something called the parasympathetic response, the opposite state of stress. It is the body's way of relaxing, restoring, absorbing, and balancing. This state not only improves digestion, but also lowers blood pressure, improves heart rate variability, and even strengthens the immune system. In addition, the brain interprets this pause as a form of self-care. You are telling yourself biologically that you are safe, that you have time, that you are present. And that has a powerful psychological impact. People who practice mindful chewing report feeling less anxiety, more focus, and more control over their eating impulses. They eat less but feel more nourished, not because they are restricting themselves, but because they are, for the first time, truly absorbing what they eat. What surprises many experts today is that this simple act of chewing mindfully can affect areas of the brain linked to memory, decision-making, and even mood. This is because rhythmic chewing, especially prolonged chewing, activates areas of the prefrontal cortex, responsible for clarity of thought and self-control. In other words, by chewing longer, you literally think better. It is no wonder that in ancient practices such as Zen and Ayurveda, eating is treated as a sacred ceremony. There is no rush, no distraction, no cell phone. There is only food, the body, and time. This ritual, repeated day after day, becomes something greater, a form of active meditation, self-awareness, and physiological reprogramming. There is also a very practical aspect that is often overlooked: satiety. Chewing longer allows the brain to register food intake more accurately. The satiety hormone, leptin, takes about 15 to 20 minutes to start working. When you eat quickly, you exceed this limit without realizing it, and end up eating much more than you need. But when you chew slowly, in sync with your internal clock, your body sends honest signals that it is already satisfied. This not only helps with weight maintenance, but also reduces inflammation and improves overall metabolic function. This simple act of chewing for 60 seconds is a small personal revolution. It doesn't require money, it doesn't require elaborate plans, it doesn't require superhuman willpower, just attention, patience, and a daily commitment to your own well-being. By giving your body this time, you are breaking the cycle of rushing, stress, and poor nutrition that dominates modern life. You are regaining control. You are reteaching your body to operate as it was designed to, with harmony, efficiency, and vitality. When an older person adopts this habit, the benefits are even more noticeable. The metabolism that once seemed slow begins to react. The mind that was scattered begins to clear, and that constant feeling of heaviness or bloating gives way to a new state of lightness. It's not a miracle. It's biology being respected. It's nature being reactivated. It's the body being heard for the first time in a long time and responding with gratitude. There is something subtle yet powerful that happens the moment you wake up. In the first few minutes of your day, your body and mind are in a state of transition, like fertile soil waiting for seeds. In that space between sleep and wakefulness, what you do has an impact that lasts for hours. hours, or even the rest of the day. And it is precisely in this interval, in this territory little explored by modern routines, that a real opportunity for transformation lies. A simple 60-second ritual done right after waking up can be the key to activating a force that was forgotten within you. A force that is not visible in medical tests, nor easily measurable, but that makes all the difference in the way you walk, breathe, feel, react, and live. Many people wake up already overwhelmed by haste. The alarm clock rings, and before the body has time to align itself with the day, the stimuli begin. Notifications, obligations, noises. It is as if the day invades the person and not the other way around, and this state of continuous alertness, repeated for months or years, distances you from yourself. You feel more tired, more reactive, less lucid. However, the human body, especially after the age of 60, does not need more speed. It needs consistency, small conscious gestures that reconnect internal systems and restore the body's natural ability to regenerate. One such gesture is the ritual of prolonged chewing first thing in the morning. It may seem trivial at first glance, but it hides an ancient power, that of gently activating the body, unblocking the senses, and realigning vital energy from the inside out. The secret lies in the choice of food, yes, but mainly in the way it is received. When you wake up, instead of automatically drinking liquids or jumping straight to coffee, you offer your body something solid, chewable, natural. It can be a root, such as fresh ginger, a raw nut, a bitter leaf such as mint, or even a functional combination made with adaptogenic ingredients. And then you chew, slowly, with intention, for 60 seconds. This time is not random. It is enough to activate the taste receptors in your mouth, which connect directly to the limbic brain, the part of the brain linked to emotions, memory, and survival instincts. By chewing with presence, you send a silent but powerful message. I am awake, I am safe, I can start the day at my own pace. That's when that hidden strength begins to manifest itself. It doesn't come as a burst of artificial energy, as caffeine often does. It comes as a quiet expansion. Your breathing deepens, your mind clears, your joints feel less tense. It's as if something that was blocked inside you has started to flow again. Many people don't realize it, but this force isn't lost. It's buried by bad habits, emotional overload, lack of space. And this morning ritual acts as a gentle excavation, revealing what has always been there, just waiting to be awakened. A minute of connection can be more effective than hours of distraction. The body recognizes this gesture as a return to nature, to instinct, to balance. This ritual, although simple, has profound ramifications. It activates the production of enzyme-rich saliva, improves digestive function, regulates appetite throughout the day, and reduces cravings for processed foods. More than that, it changes the energy field around you. It may seem esoteric at first glance, but it's not. When you start your day with a conscious choice, you change your attitude toward life. You stop being pushed by time and start occupying your own time. You change your mental frequency, your relationship with your body, and the decisions that will come in the next few hours. It's a domino effect. A minute of presence early in the day makes room for more presence throughout the day, and the more present you are, the easier it is to notice what your body is asking for, what your mind needs, and what your heart is trying to say. The most interesting thing is that by incorporating this habit into your morning routine, you begin to feel a sense of autonomy that may have been dormant, the feeling that you can indeed take care of yourself with your own resources, that it's not too late, that your body still responds, that there is life pulsing behind the routine. This is especially true for those over 60, a stage in life when the outside world often begins to slow down. But the inner world demands just the opposite, expansion, and that expansion begins in the intimacy of small acts. You don't have to revolutionize your entire diet or change your lifestyle overnight. Just start. Choose a living food. Chew it slowly. Wake up your body from the inside before being pulled by outside obligations. Over time, you begin to realize that this 60-second moment is more than a habit. It is a commitment to your vitality. It becomes an anchor point. Even on difficult days, even when your body is slower, even when your mind is agitated, this minute is a return, a reminder that there is a place inside you where energy does not run out, it just retreats. And when you offer yourself this care as soon as you wake up, you are telling yourself that you are worth it, that there is still a way, there is energy, there is choice. And it is in this daily choice that you rediscover your strength, not as something that comes from outside, but as something that finally emerges from within. There is a moment when the mirror seems to tell a different story from the one you feel inside. You look at yourself, notice the more pronounced features, the thinner skin, perhaps the thinner hair, and think, I'm still me, but something has changed. This feeling, so common after 60, is not just a matter of aesthetics. It is an inner calling, a realization that, although your body is changing, there is a force within you that still pulses with intensity. The good news is that this inner youth does not have to be just a memory of the past. It can be reactivated, not with miracle formulas or artificial interventions, but with something that has always been within your reach: the power of simple, natural, and living foods. Foods that not only nourish but communicate with your body on a deep level, capable of touching the very mechanisms of aging. The aging process is not a failure, it is part of nature, but the pace and quality of this process depend on many factors, and diet is one of the most powerful among them. Our bodies are constantly renewing themselves. Skin cells are replaced every 27 days, the liver regenerates in weeks, and blood is renewed in a matter of months. What is often lacking is not the ability to regenerate, but the right building blocks to rebuild, and these building blocks come from the nutrients we consume or fail to consume. Most modern diets, rich in processed foods and low in natural phytochemicals, silence this capacity for renewal. Certain foods, when consumed correctly and consciously, are capable of activating genes linked to longevity, repairing cell damage, and even slowing down the oxidation that accelerates visible and invisible aging. Among these foods are those that science is beginning to recognize as epigenetic modulators. In other words, they not only nourish, but also communicate with your DNA. Ingredients such as turmeric, broccoli, red fruits, spirulina, chlorophyll, extra virgin olive oil, and certain seeds such as flaxseed and grapeseed contain compounds that activate cell repair genes and deactivate those that accelerate degeneration. But there is one detail that is often overlooked. For these foods to work as they should, they need to be eaten mindfully, chewed long enough, and absorbed without rushing. 1 minute, 60 seconds. That's the minimum time needed for the enzymes in saliva to begin breaking down the bioactive compounds and preparing them for action. When you chew mindfully, you prepare your body to extract the best that nature has to offer. You don't just feed your body, you awaken it. Even more impressive is the impact of these foods on what scientists call inflammaging, the silent inflammation that sets in as we age. It is one of the main culprits behind the classic signs of aging: dull skin, stiff joints, low energy, memory problems, and muscle weakness. When incorporated into your routine, anti-inflammatory foods have the potential to reverse this internal state. They reduce inflammatory markers in the blood, improve mitochondrial function, the cellular powerhouse, and promote a true cleansing of the tissues. The result? A lighter body, a clearer mind, and yes, a more youthful appearance. And all this without resorting to aggressive medications, invasive surgeries, or expensive treatments. Just living food, chewed with intention, respecting the body's timing and nature's intelligence. It's no exaggeration to say that what you chew today can influence how your face will look in a month. Skin firmness, joint elasticity, eye brightness, all of these are deeply linked to the internal state of the body. When you give your body the right nutrients, in the most natural form possible, it responds with gratitude. It rebuilds itself. It begins to work more efficiently, eliminating toxins, restoring tissues, and regulating hormones. In this context, youth is no longer just a matter of age. It becomes a vibrational, biological, and even emotional state, because a well-nourished body also supports a calmer, stronger, more confident mind. And this combination of body and mind in balance is true rejuvenation. The most fascinating thing is that this does not require radical changes. It starts with small choices, repeated every day. A simple, natural food chosen with care. 60 seconds of conscious chewing, first thing in the morning or at the beginning of a meal. This simple gesture has the power to reconnect you with your own biological time. It interrupts the cycle of haste and activates the cycle of presence. It reminds your body what it's like to live without chronic tension, without intoxication, without overload. By doing this, you allow your life force, the one that seemed lost, to express itself again. And when it expresses itself, external signs begin to change. You feel lighter, stronger, more alive. People notice, you notice it. Not because something magical has happened, but because you have finally given yourself what you have always needed: space, time, and the right elements to flourish. Sometimes the greatest enemies of our health are not visible, not detected in blood tests or complex diagnoses. They hide in habits so automatic, so everyday, that they go unnoticed for decades. One of these habits, perhaps one of the most underrated of all, is the act of chewing. Few people stop to think about it, but the way you chew can speed up or slow down your aging. It can influence your digestion, your energy level, your mental clarity, and even the appearance of your skin. That's because chewing isn't just the beginning of the digestive process. It is the first biological command that tells the body something is coming. Get ready to turn this into life. The most common and harmful mistake is chewing too quickly, anxiously, and superficially. Over the years, many people have developed the habit of eating without presence or awareness, swallowing large pieces, often without even noticing the real taste of the food. This behavior, repeated over months and years, creates a series of silent disorders. The stomach begins to work overtime, trying to digest what the mouth has not processed. The intestine becomes overloaded with poor poorly ground particles which ferment and generate toxins. As a result, bloating, reflux, constipation, gas, and chronic inflammation arise. But the most worrying thing is the systemic impact this has. The body starts to live in a state of constant effort, as if it were always compensating for something that should have been done before. In the mouth during chewing, this continuous effort drains vital energy. Poor digestion robs the body of essential nutrients. Without proper absorption, the body cannot regenerate tissue, produce neurotransmitters, or strengthen immunity. This translates into visible signs of aging: hair loss, dull skin, brittle nails, constant fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and mood swings. What seems like a minor detail in the way you eat is actually shaping your biology minute by minute. Chewing poorly is like trying to build a house with broken bricks. You may be able to erect a structure, but it will be fragile, unstable, and susceptible to any impact. The human body works the same way. If the foundation of digestion is weak, everything that comes after will be compromised. On the other hand, when you chew well, slowly, rhythmically, and consciously, the effect is almost immediate. Saliva, which contains powerful enzymes such as amylase and lipase, begins to pre-digest carbohydrates and fats while still in the mouth. This reduces the stomach's workload by up to 30%. In addition, chewing activates receptors on the tongue that connect directly to the brain, sending signals to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for relaxation, balance, and regeneration. It's as if you were activating an internal switch through your mouth that says, now it's time to nourish, restore, and heal. This simple gesture, repeated daily, completely transforms the dynamics of your body. And more than that, it also transforms your relationship with your own body. Chewing properly is also an act of presence, and presence today is a powerful antidote to premature aging. When you slow down the pace of chewing, you reconnect with the moment. You taste the flavors, notice the textures, and feel grateful for the food in front of you. This state of mindfulness reduces levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and promotes the production of serotonin, which regulates mood, sleep, and even appetite. Eating becomes a moment of self-care, not escape or compulsion, and this has profound effects on your emotional and metabolic health. People who chew well tend to eat less, choose better foods, and develop a more harmonious relationship with food and their own bodies. Another often overlooked point is the impact of chewing on the muscles of the face and the lymphatic system. Chewing stimulates about 40 facial muscles, which improves skin tone, blood circulation, and even lymphatic flow in the head and neck area. This helps oxygenate tissues, drain toxins, and can even reduce swelling and sagging of the face. It is as if the very act of chewing works as a kind of natural exercise to keep features firm, skin nourished, and expressions more lively. None of this requires expensive creams or invasive cosmetic procedures, just presence, regularity, and respect for the body's natural rhythm. It's curious how such a simple habit can hold so much power. For years, we've been taught to focus on what to eat, the ingredients, the calories, but few talk about how to eat. And that's where the secret lies. You can choose the best food in the world, full of nutrients, organic, functional, but if it's not chewed properly, much of its power is lost. It's like trying to listen to a wonderful song with your headphones disconnected. The information is there, but it doesn't reach its destination. Chewing is connecting. It is allowing the information in food to translate into real health. And this kind of health, says the kind that starts at the base in simplicity, is what sustains the body for much longer with much more vitality. Her name is Lucia. She is 67 years old, and until a few months ago, she believed that constant feeling of tiredness was just a natural part of aging. She would wake up feeling heavy, as if a fog hung over her eyes and mind. Her joints ached. Simple tasks seemed to require a disproportionate amount of effort. Her memory fluctuated. Her desire to socialize gradually disappeared like a slowly dying ember. Lucia thought she was entering what they call normal aging. But everything started to change when she heard a friend tell her, with a sparkle in her eyes, about a strange habit she had been practicing: chewing a piece of fresh ginger every morning for exactly 60 seconds, 1 minute. It didn't seem like much, but that friend said she felt like a different person. Curious, Lucia decided to try, and what happened in the following days surprised her deeply. She describes the experience as if an ancient energy had been reactivated within her. It wasn't a rush of euphoria like coffee, nor was it a superficial agitation. It was something deeper, quieter, and more lasting. It was as if her body had awakened from a long sleep. The pain began to subside. Her mind was more alert. Her mood was more stable. And all this without changing anything radical, just that little morning ritual of chewing mindfully, calmly, with presence. The food chosen could be ginger, a nut, a mint leaf, or even a functional combination with turmeric, raw honey, or sunflower seeds. The important thing was not the food itself, but the time and quality of the gesture. 60 seconds of connection, 1 minute of presence, 1 minute a day that for her became a turning point. Lucia is not an isolated case. There are dozens of similar reports emerging in natural health groups, integrative therapy circles, and holistic medicine forums. People like Mr. Eduardo, 72, who suffered from slow digestion and poor nutrient absorption. He says that by adopting this same habit, he began to feel less bloated, more mentally clear, and even a return return to regular sleep, something he hadn't been able to achieve in over 10 years. He didn't change his entire diet at once. He simply chose one live, functional food and chewed it mindfully for 1 minute every morning. The impact, he says, did not come like a bolt of lightning, but like a light that gradually grew brighter, something internal, renewing, difficult to explain rationally, but impossible to ignore when you feel it. These stories have something in common. They all reveal an experience of reconnection with the body, a keener awareness of internal signals, emotions, and real needs. People who used to eat on impulse out of boredom or out of routine began to experience food as medicine, a direct contact with the energy of the earth, of the simple, of the essential. Chewing for 60 seconds is not just a physical act. It is a language between you and your body. It is a sacred pause amid the chaos, a silent ritual that reorganizes the body from within. There is no miraculous promise here. What exists is a call to return to basics, and the basics begin in the mouth, in the time given to food, in respect for the wisdom that the body carries. Even the most skeptical health professionals are beginning to look at these reports with attention, not just out of curiosity, but because they are consistently accumulating. Reports of increased energy, reduced inflammatory pain, improved digestion, reduced compulsive eating, and even signs of improvement in blood pressure and blood sugar levels. All this from a gesture as basic as it is underrated. What is now understood is that chewing is not just the beginning of digestion. It is the start of a whole chain of neurochemical, hormonal, and metabolic reactions. When done mindfully, it not only improves nutrient absorption, but also signals to the body that it is safe, that it can switch out of survival mode and back into regeneration mode. Some people even report emotional impacts, like 74-year-old Clarice, who described the practice as a moment of silent prayer. She said that when she chewed her food calmly in the morning, she felt as if she were reconnecting not only with her own body, but with something greater, an inner space of peace, of listening. This helped her deal with anxiety, loneliness, and even old memories that had been bottled up. Chewing, in this sense, was not just physiological, it was spiritual. It was the starting point for deeper self-care. Clarice began to take better care of her breathing, to hydrate herself more carefully, to walk with more pleasure. All this started with a gesture that seemed too small to bring about such change. The most powerful thing about these testimonials is not only the result, but the simplicity of the path. There were no big investments, no impossible diets, no unrealistic promises. There was only the courage to return to the essentials, to slow down and give the body what it has always known how to do, transform the natural into life. Each story is a reminder that there is still time to start over, time to listen to the body, time to nurture the energy that even after 60, 70, or 80 years is still there, just waiting for an invitation to awaken.